drug discovery. It's one of the most vital things we do in healthcare.
Absolutely vital.
But it's also incredibly challenging. I mean, for those of you who work in this space, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Of the timelines.
The timelines can stretch for, what, a decade? Sometimes more.
Easily. And the cost. We're talking billions, literally billions of dollars.
Billions. And the failure rate is just, well, notoriously high, isn't it?
Depressingly so.
Finding a new medicine traditionally involves months, maybe even years of just painstaking lab work.
Yeah, testing molecule after molecule. It's very trial and error.
It really feels like a critical bottleneck, you know, in getting life-saving innovations out there. It feels, frankly, ripe for some kind of disruption.
And that's precisely the massive challenge that a company called SandboxAQ is stepping up to tackle.
SandboxAQ. Okay.
Yeah, they're hinting at a really transformative shift, looking at how those, very earliest stages of drug discovery are done.
Yeah.
Trying to redefine that whole laborious process.
Okay, so SandboxAQ. Let's dive into this because it sounds fascinating. We're going to do a deep dive today into what they're actually doing that's, well, making some serious waves.
Right.
We really want to explore their groundbreaking new data set. It's a huge public release, right? 5.2 million synthetic 3D molecular structures.
5.2 million. It's a massive number.
And we'll unpack how it's a Google spinout or Alphabet spinout.
That's right, from Alphabet.
With some pretty hefty backing from Nvidia, how they're combining advanced physics simulations with AI.
Physics and AI, yeah.
To really speed up these drug protein binding predictions. We've been looking at a really solid report on this development to guide our chat today.
And what's really interesting, I think, is how these molecules are made.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, they're not natural molecules like you'd find in nature.
Right. Synthetic, you said.
Synthetic, yes. But, and this is key, they are absolutely scientifically grounded. SandboxAQ used powerful Nvidia chips, actually, to compute all 5.2 million of these novel 3D structures. Yeah. And they're based on established equations, stuff derived from existing experimental evidence.
So based on real science.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And crucially, each synthetic molecule is tagged. It's tagged with experimental ground truth data.
Ground truth. Okay, what does that mean in practice?
It means that even though the molecules themselves were generated by a computer, their predicted properties are checked and verified against actual real-world lab results. So it's like giving the AI an answer key.
Ah, okay, a confirmed answer key.
Precisely. So the AI learns based on verified facts, not just, theoretical guesses. It ensures the models are reliable.
That feels like a really critical distinction. It's not just lobbing huge amounts of data at an AI and hoping for the best.
No, not at all.
It's giving the AI this incredibly reliable, physics-validated data. Okay, but let's bring it back to the practical side. For listeners working in drug development, what's the payoff? How does this actually help their timelines, their costs?
Well, the potential advantage is, frankly, monumental. AI models trained on this kind of massive validated data set, they could potentially deliver drug screening results in, say, hours or days.
Hours or days.
Instead of months, or even years in some traditional approaches.
Wow. That's huge.
Think about the reduction in early-stage development times.
Yeah.
The cost savings. It could be profound. This really feels like a pivotal new frontier where you have these equation-driven physics simulations feeding directly into the neural models, the AI. It creates this incredibly potent hybrid approach.
So the magic here, it sounds like, isn't just the AI. It's AI plus physics.
Exactly.
Can you maybe quickly explain why blending in those fundamental physical laws is such a big deal? Why not just let the AI figure it out on its own from the data?
That's a great point. See, pure AI, especially some deep learning models, can sometimes work like a black box.
Right. You hear that term a lot.
Yeah. It learns patterns, often very complex one, but it doesn't necessarily understand the underlying why, the physics. By integrating physics, we're essentially building models that have to obey fundamental scientific principles, the laws of nature, basically.
Which should make the predictions better.
It makes them more robust, yes. More explainable, too.
Yeah.
And ultimately, far more reliable. Especially in a field like drug discovery where, let's face it, accuracy is paramount. The stakes are incredibly high.
You can't afford to be wrong too often.
Exactly. It's about giving the AI a kind of scientific backbone, making its predictions more trustworthy.
That trust factor. Yeah, that's got to be essential in medicine.
Yeah.
And connecting this to the bigger picture then, it's not just about this amazing data set or even just drug discovery, is it?
No, it's broader. I mean, SandboxAQ, they've raised, what was the figure? Nearly 950 million US dollars.
Almost $1 billion, yeah. And the valuation is somewhere between 5 and $5.75 billion.
That's serious money. It shows incredible investor confidence in what they're doing.
It really does. And they've got these strategic partnerships. You mentioned Nvidia, also Google.
And those partnerships underpin both the creation of this data set we're talking about and their more ambitious large quantitative models, LQMs.
LQMs. Okay, what are those exactly?
They're essentially these highly sophisticated AI models designed specifically to process and learn from just vast amounts of scientific and quantitative data.
Right.
And their ambition, as you hinted, goes way beyond just biopharma. They're looking at applications in material science.
New materials.
Yeah, discovering new materials, navigation systems, even financial modeling, all using these LQMs.
Wow, that's quite a leap. From designing molecules to financial markets. Can you give us a quick sense of how that translates? How could an LQM work for, say, materials science?
Well, in material science, imagine predicting the properties of a new alloy or maybe a new polymer before you even try to make it in the lab.
Okay, so similar to the drug discovery idea, virtual screening first.
Exactly, speeding up R&D dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
And in finance, well, it could be used for really complex risk modeling or maybe optimizing trading strategies. It's leveraging similar principles, really. Predicting complex systems, recognizing subtle patterns in huge data sets. The underlying computational challenges, perhaps surprisingly, have a lot in common across these fields.
So the LQMs are quite versatile then.
Highly versatile, yes.
Okay, so let's try and summarize the core breakthrough here. It feels like SandboxAQ releasing these 5.2 million synthetic, physics-tagged molecular structures. That's a big deal, right? A watershed moment, maybe?
I think watershed moment is fair, yeah.
Yeah.
In computational drug discovery, definitely. By fusing high-performance computing, like those Nvidia chips, with physics-based modeling, and then adding advanced AI learning on top.
That hybrid approach again.
Right. They're creating two things at once, really. There's the open research asset, that public data set we've discussed, which anyone can use to innovate.
Fostering collaboration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's their powerful commercial platform using their own proprietary AI models built on this foundation. It really does feel like a paradigm shift is underway.
A paradigm shift. And that vision, you hear terms like virtual first discovery.
Where the digital screening, the computation, guides, the really expensive, time-consuming lab work. It sounds almost futuristic.
It does a bit, yeah.
Like it could fundamentally change how medicines are discovered, shifting the whole process away from the traditional lab bench.
And more onto the compute platform.
Onto the compute platform. But, you know, drug discovery has always been incredibly hard. Even with amazing computation like this, what are some of the limitations or maybe unexpected challenges that SandboxAQ or anyone using this approach might still run into?
That's a really important question. Because while these virtual predictions are incredibly powerful and getting better all the time, they ultimately have to work in the real world. They need to hold up in actual biological systems.
But cells in animals.
Exactly. And most importantly, they have to prove safe and effective in human clinical trials.
Right. The ultimate test.
And that validation process, well, it's still long. It's still complex and expensive. That hasn't changed overnight.
So computation speeds up the start, but the finish line is still far away. In a sense, yes. There's also that interesting balance they have to strike, right? Between their free public data set, which is great for open science, and their proprietary AI models, which is how they make money, their commercial offering. Managing that will be key.
And competition. Are others doing similar things?
Oh, definitely. The AI-driven drug discovery space is hot. You've got companies like Benevolent AI, Recursion Pharmaceuticals, many others, pushing boundaries with different flavors of AI and data. It's a competitive landscape.
So we need to watch for...
We need to watch for the real-world validations.
Yeah.
Are there predictions leading to actual successful drugs? That's the ultimate proof. And also, keep an eye on their plans for integrating quantum computing. They talk about that too.
Ah, quantum. That adds a whole other layer of complexity and potential, doesn't it?
It certainly does. For the really hard quantum mechanical calculations involved in molecular interactions.
Okay, so wrapping this up, maybe a final thought for our listeners. If companies like SandboxAQ really can accurately predict these complex molecular interactions using computation before major lab work even starts, what does that truly mean for the future? Not just for medicine, but for scientific discovery across well, all fields.
That's a profound question.
How might this blend, this hybrid of physics-based AI, accelerate breakthroughs way beyond just pharma? Could it fundamentally change how we approach solving complex scientific problems, letting computation lead the way before we even step into the lab?
It really could change the whole methodology, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Shifting from primarily experiment-driven discovery to computation-driven discovery, where the experiments serve more to validate the computational hypotheses, could accelerate everything. Materials, energy, climate modeling. The possibilities are vast. A fascinating future to contemplate.